Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Mr. Rader back for another session of AP World History. And in this video, we'll take a look at the 2019 AP World History Free Response question, looking specifically at the DBQ on the extent to which the Portuguese were successful in transforming maritime trade in the Indian Ocean. So section 2 is designed to take an hour and 40 minutes, and the DBQ is designed to take 1 hour, and the LAQ is designed to take the other 40 minutes. The College Board recommends that you spend 15 minutes reading the documents and 45 minutes writing your response. What we'll do in this short video is we'll look at the task itself, and we'll see how it corresponds to the scoring rubric. So our directions say question 1 is based on the accompanying documents. They have been edited for the purpose of this exercise. So what we need to do is a total of 6 different bullet points, which corresponds to 7 points on the scoring rubric. Number 1, we must respond to the prompt with a historically defensible thesis or claim that establishes a line of reasoning. So if we scroll down to the prompt, it says evaluate the extent to which the Portuguese transformed maritime trade in the Indian Ocean in the 16th century. So what we really want to try to figure out is, in what ways did they actually transform trade, produce a sense of change? And in what ways did this trading network really remain the same? What kind of continuities do we see in the different documents? First thing that I want to call out, and College Board calls this out in their notes, this map below of the various areas in the Indian Ocean trade. These are locations that are mentioned in the documents. It's designed to give you a sense as to what is happening spatially. It is not a document that you can use as part of your essay. The documents themselves follow on the next several pages, documents 1 all the way to document number 7. So going back to the prompt, in order to get the first point, you must have a thesis that takes a stand and that establishes a line of reasoning. So for example, a basic claim could say that the Portuguese were able to successfully transform maritime trade because of reason A, B, and C. Perhaps one of your reasons might be how they established ports in various different regions in South and Southeast Asia. Prompt number 2 tells us we must describe a broader historical context relevant to the prompt. So the key word there really is relevancy. So when you do your historical context, both the context and the thesis go in the introduction, and that's how you can earn 2 out of 7 points right there. To do the historical context effectively, you must make it clear that it connects to the prompt. So for example, many students, when they wrote this essay nationally, spoke about the Columbian Exchange in Latin America. They looked at the role of the Spanish Empire in Latin America. They even looked at the role of the Portuguese and the creation of sugar plantations in Brazil, which, while accurate historically, is not relevant to the prompt because all of those actions, those examples, took place in the Atlantic Ocean, not in the Indian Ocean, which is really what the prompt is looking at. And we want to consider specific details. So for example, looking at the Ottoman conquest of the city of Constantinople and its renaming to Istanbul in 1453 did prompt the European desire to find access to the Eastern spice markets through westward travel. So while you would not want to look at, for example, 1492, Columbus sailing the ocean blue, you could look at 1498 and Vasco da Gama sailing around the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa to find a water-based route to get to the Indian Ocean. So the third point on the essay, you need to support an argument in response to the prompt using at least 6 documents. So there's actually 2 points there. The first point is just accurately describing the document. That will get you 1 point. But in order to earn the second point, you must support your argument that you're making, the thesis or the claim, using at least 6 of those documents. You must then use at least 1 additional piece of specific historical evidence, basically outside information, quote, relevant to an argument about the prompt. Now, students nationally tend to struggle with earning this point because the outside evidence that they use is not relevant to the prompt. So that's really, really the key word that I want to emphasize is that any outside information you bring to the table must be relevant to the prompt. So for example, if you're looking at the role that the Portuguese had in the spice trade or the role that they had in other products being exchanged, that could in fact be relevant outside information. For at least 3 of the documents, you should try to engage in sourcing. Now, I recommend my students try to do sourcing for every document, but sometimes that can be really hard when you only have 45 minutes to write the essay. So with that in mind, you want to look at essentially either historical context, intended audience, purpose, point of view, or outside information. So using the acronym HIPPO as a way to help you source the document. You want to be able to explain how or why it's relevant to the argument. So it's not sufficient just to say like who wrote the document or whose perspective it is, but how does it connect to the argument you want to make? That will allow you to get the source of the point. And then the final point is complexity. And complexity really does require you to use the documents in tandem with one another to explain how they corroborate, qualify, or modify an argument. And we'll talk more in the second video in the series about how to actually do that. And we'll see some examples from College Board about how to earn the complexity point. So to end this video, we'll take a quick look at the first document, and we'll kind of just engage in our sourcing practices. So document 1 is written by Muslim merchants in the year 1500 of Calicut, which is in southern India, to the Hindu ruler of Calicut concerning the arrival of the second Portuguese expedition to the city. This was recorded in the history of the discovery and conquest of India by the Portuguese in 1551. So right away, we have a document that's being written for more than 50 years after the events in question took place. We know that the point of view of this document is from Muslim merchants who were in southern India under the rule of a Hindu leader. Some outside information that we could bring to the table is that this time, northern India is being ruled by the Mughal Empire, and the southern India is nominally independent. And what we basically see here is concerned merchants who feel threatened by essentially the Portuguese for competitive purposes. So when you read the document, you'll see it's all about competition. And we can see that the bias of the document is the idea that these merchants are warning the ruler to ban the Portuguese from being able to trade with Calicut because it would cut into their business, right? That's one way we can see how bias gets revealed here. It tells us more about the purpose of the document along with the point of view of the respondents. All right, so that'll do it for this short video. Things to keep in mind as you're writing your essay, you want to see what commonalities the documents have with each other and how you may perhaps be able to group the documents to organize your body paragraphs. I'll leave with just one general set of words of advice. Do not organize this essay by document number. So for example, don't make one body paragraph documents 1, 2, and 3, and then a second body paragraph documents 4, 5, and 6. It's not a smart way to do it. You'll score very low on the exam. Rather, you want to see what are some similarities with these documents and how they can be used to support a claim. And then lastly, in terms of length of the essay, you want to aim for around 5 paragraphs. So an introduction, a conclusion, and 3 body paragraphs that really allow you to evaluate the evidence presented in these documents. That'll do it for today's video. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll look at some sample essays. Have a great day, everybody.